They say love makes you blind, but sometimes it's not love that blinds you. It's manipulation disguised as care. It's words twisted with softness. It's affection used like a weapon. And before you know it, you start questioning your own worth, your own memory, your own reality. This isn't about hating women. It's about understanding patterns, protecting your peace, and learning how to see through the illusion. Because when manipulation wears the mask of love, the only cure is awareness. Part number 1. When attraction becomes control. At first, it doesn't look like manipulation. It looks like attention. It feels like interest. She wants to know everything about you, how you think, how you feel, what makes you tick, and you mistake that intensity for connection. But what's really happening is data collection. She's learning your emotional triggers, your weaknesses, your fears. Because control doesn't always begin with dominance. It begins with curiosity. And slowly, that curiosity turns into leverage. She knows what words make you soften, what actions make you react. And when she starts pulling back, you chase, not because she's special, but because she's trained you to seek her approval. Part number 2. The subtle art of guilt. Manipulation rarely shouts, it whispers, it hides behind concern. Behind guilt, behind words like, "If you really loved me, you would." And before you realize it, you're defending yourself for things you never did. You're apologizing for boundaries you have every right to set. This is emotional conditioning, where she rewards your compliance and punishes your resistance. Not with anger, but with silence, withdrawal, distance. The kind that makes you question if you did something wrong. Guilt becomes her greatest tool, because it doesn't need force. It only needs your empathy, and that's what manipulators target most kind hearts that overthink. Part number 3. When affection turns strategic. Love should be free, not transactional, but in manipulation. Affection becomes a currency. She gives it when you obey. She withholds it when you don't. She uses attention as a reward and rejection as punishment. It's a push and pull cycle. One that trains your brain like a slot machine, never knowing when the affection will return. That uncertainty becomes addictive. Psychologists call it intermittent reinforcement, the most powerful form of conditioning, because it keeps you hooked on hope. You start chasing the version of her that only appears when she wants something, and the sad truth is, it's never about love, it's about control, and you will recognize that pattern. Part number 4. The mirror game. One of the most powerful manipulation tactics is mirroring. She studies you, copies your language, your values, your humor. She becomes everything you ever wanted. Not because she is, but because she's learned how to reflect you back at yourself. And that illusion creates attachment. You think you found your soulmate, when in truth, you've fallen for a mirror, not a person. And when that mask starts to slip, confusion sets in. You wonder what changed, why she feels distant, why things suddenly feel off. But what's really happening is the projection fading, and the real person emerging. And when that happens, don't chase the illusion. It never existed. Part number 5. The psychology of gaslighting. Gaslighting is psychological warfare wrapped in charm. It's when she denies what you saw, questions what you heard, rewrites what you remember, and suddenly you're the one apologizing for her behavior. You start doubting your sanity, your instincts, your emotions, because she's trained you to believe that being upset is your fault, that reacting is weakness. But listen closely. Confusion is not love, fear is not respect, and self-doubt is not compromise. Gaslighting works only when you value peace over truth. But real peace cannot exist without clarity. Part number 6. When you start to see clearly. Awareness hurts before it heals. The moment you start seeing through manipulation, your mind fights back. It doesn't want to believe it, because the version of her you loved wasn't all a lie. It was part truth, part performance, and untangling the two feels like grieving. But that grief is necessary, because it's not just about losing her, it's about losing the illusion. And illusions are powerful. They keep you stuck in cycles of almost love, of almost peace. But once clarity comes, you can't unsee it. You start recognizing patterns you ignored. Red flags you painted white. Moments you excused because you wanted to believe. Part number 7. Reclaiming your power. Healing after manipulation isn't about revenge. It's about restoration. It's about taking back your mind. your voice, your confidence. It starts with detachment, emotional, physical, digital. Stop explaining, stop defending, stop feeding the dynamic. Because manipulators crave reaction, silence starves them. And in that silence, you start hearing yourself again. You start remembering who you were before the control, before the doubt, before the guilt. You rebuild your boundaries one truth at a time. And slowly, your peace returns, your power returns, your clarity returns. Because the greatest revenge isn't exposing them, it's outgrowing them. Part number 8. The psychology of walking away. Walking away from manipulation isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's understanding that love without respect is poison. That care without honesty is control. You stop arguing with lies, because truth doesn't need defense. You stop fighting for peace with someone who thrives in chaos. And you learn that not everything broken deserves fixing. Some people only understand the lesson when you stop participating in their game. And that's the hardest part. Walking away without closure. Because closure doesn't come from them admitting what they did. It comes from you deciding that your sanity matters more than their attention. That your heart deserves honesty. And that sometimes, silence is the loudest form of self-respect. That's how you deal with manipulation, by never needing to prove you were right. Just by choosing peace over control, truth over illusion, and self-worth over their approval. Part number 9. When manipulation turns into regret. Eventually, manipulation eats itself. It always does. Because control can't replace connection. And sooner or later, she begins to feel the emptiness of her own design. When you finally stop reacting, stop explaining, stop chasing, she loses her power source. Her ego starves, and suddenly, the silence she once used as a weapon becomes her mirror. She starts replaying the things she said, the people she hurt, the games she played, and what once made her feel powerful now feels hollow. Because manipulation may win short-term battles, but it always loses the long game. The moment you choose peace over performance, the game ends, and she's left with regret. Not because she misses control, but because she realizes control never gave her love. It only gave her loneliness. And you, the one who saw through it, now walk freely, quietly, and that freedom becomes the regret she can't escape. Part number 10. The power of emotional detachment. Detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. It's the ability to see manipulation without reacting to it, to hear their words without absorbing their intent, to stand firm while they twist the truth around you. Emotional detachment isn't shutting down, it's protecting your energy. Because not every battle deserves your emotion, and not every person deserves your explanation. When you detach, they'll call you distant. They'll call you cold. They'll say you've changed, but the truth is, you've simply healed. You no longer need to prove your worth to people who profit from your pain. You respond with silence. You walk with calm, and that peace unsettles them more than any argument ever could. Because manipulation only survives on reaction, and once you stop feeding it, it dies. Quietly, completely. And that's when you finally see how powerful it is to be unbothered, how freeing it feels to choose yourself, and how peace, not revenge, is the ultimate answer. Because in the end, the psychology of manipulation isn't about them, it's about you. It's about learning to trust your intuition again, to protect your energy, to stop trying to fix people who benefit from keeping you broken. When you master emotional detachment, you stop being controlled. When you start seeing clearly, you stop being confused. And when you finally walk away with peace in your heart, you don't just escape manipulation, you outgrow it, completely, beautifully, permanently.